11 cuttings. That is what this whole hanging basket of golden pothos on my front porch started as, and I did not pay 1 dime for a single one of them because they all came off a leggy old plant my neighbor was fixing to throw out. No rooting powder, no greenhouse, no fancy grow lights, none of that. Just a pair of clean kitchen scissors, a mason jar of plain tap water on my kitchen windowsill, and about 6 weeks of doing almost nothing. Today, I am going to walk you through the whole thing right at the jar so you can see exactly where to make the cut, exactly how deep the water goes, and exactly when your cutting is ready for a pot of its own. And honey, if you have tried this before and watched your cutting turn yellow and mushy in the jar, I know just what went wrong. So stay with me all the way to the end, because the reason so many cuttings rot instead of root comes down to one specific thing that happens to that water after a few days sitting on the sill, and once I explain what it is, you will never lose another cutting to it again. I'm Debra Wilson. I have been growing things for more than 50 years, ever since I was a little girl at my Grandma Hazel's elbow, and these days my yard here in Tennessee is the most colorful one on the block. Grandma rooted her cuttings in jelly jars on the kitchen windowsill, roses and pothos and everything in between, and every bit of what I am about to show you I learned standing right beside her. Now let me tell you why this is worth your while. A little 4-inch pot of pothos at the garden center runs about $15 these days. A full hanging basket like mine, you are looking at $30 or $40, easy. And one healthy pothos vine will hand you a dozen new plants every single year for free if you know where to cut it. That is Christmas gifts. That is a plant for every windowsill in the house. That is a little green start for every grandchild who wants one. But I hear from folks all the time who tried it and gave up. They snipped off a pretty leaf, set it in a glass of water, and watched it sit there for 2 months doing nothing at all. Or worse, the stem went soft and brown and smelled sour, and the whole thing went in the trash. When that happens, it is almost always one of 3 little mistakes. Cutting in the wrong spot, leaving leaves down in the water, or the third one, the water mistake, the one I promised to explain at the end, because that one sneaks up on you even when you did everything else just right. Hold that thought about the water, honey. We are coming back to it. So come on over to the kitchen counter with me. I have my scissors, my mason jar, and one long trailing vine off my big pothos, and we are going to do this together, one small step at a time. Now, before we make that first cut, I want to tell you where all this slow step-by-step teaching comes from. I wrote a little book called Debra's 30-Day Bloom Protocol, the day-by-day system that forces stubborn plants to burst into flowers. It is 122 pages, written plain, and it is for anybody whose hydrangeas, roses, peonies, dahlias, or perennials keep giving them big, beautiful green leaves and not one single flower. The first week teaches you to diagnose before you feed, with the simple soil test my Grandma Hazel swore by, and the sun audit that changes everything. The second week makes your corrections, feeding for flowers the honest way, and making the right cut at the right time. And the last 2 weeks carry you through those first buds with a bloom playbook page for every flower in your yard. It is $17 right now, marked down from $47, and honey, $17 against another whole summer of leaves and no blooms is the easiest math in the garden. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, Back to our vine on the kitchen counter. Pick up your scissors and let me show you what I do. Step 1 is finding the node, and this is the step that decides everything else. Run your eye along the vine. Everywhere a leaf comes off the stem, you will see a little brown bump right there at the joint, like a tiny knuckle. Some of them even have a wee brown nub poking out already, and that nub is a root waiting to happen. That knuckle is called a node, and that knuckle is the only place on the entire vine where a root will ever grow. Not the leaf, not the smooth green stem between the leaves, only the knuckle. So if you have ever set a lonely leaf in a pretty glass and waited, that is why nothing happened. There was no node in the water. The leaf can sit there looking green for months, but it has no way to make a root. Find your knuckle first, honey, and the rest is easy. Step 2 is the cut itself. Take a pair of clean, sharp kitchen scissors. If they have been in the junk drawer a while, wipe the blades with a little rubbing alcohol first. Now find a spot about 1/4 of an inch below a node. That is 1/4 inch below the knuckle, just a whisker of stem under it. Make one clean snip right there. What you want in your hand is a piece of vine with one node at the bottom and 1 or 2 leaves at the top. That is the whole cutting. Small is fine. In fact, a short cutting with 1 good node root's faster than a long trailing piece because the plant has less to keep alive while it works on those roots. If your vine is long, you can cut it into 4 or 5 little cuttings, 1 node each, and root the whole batch in 1 jar. That is exactly how my 11 got started. Step 3, and this one takes 10 seconds. Look at your cutting and picture it standing in the jar. Any leaf that would end up down in the water needs to come off. Just pinch it off gently at the stem. A leaf sitting underwater does not root and does not help. It rots. And a rotting leaf sours the water for the whole jar. Bare stem and node below the waterline, green leaves above it. That is the rule, and it never changes. Step 4 is the jar. Any clean glass jar will do. A mason jar, a jelly jar, an old pickle jar run through the dishwasher. Fill it with plain tap water at room temperature. If your town water smells strong of chlorine, fill the jar the night before and let it sit out on the counter overnight, and that smell will fade right off. Now stand your cutting in the jar. The node needs to be fully underwater, covered by 1 inch or 2. The leaves rest up over the rim in the open air. If the cutting flops around, lean it against the side or set 2 or 3 cuttings in together and let them hold each other up. They do not mind the company one bit. Step 5 is where the jar lives, and this matters more than folks think. You want a bright window with soft light, and an east-facing kitchen window is just about perfect. Morning sun is gentle sun. What you do not want is a blazing hot south or west window where the afternoon sun cooks that little jar for hours. Hold that thought about hot sun on the jar too, because it ties straight into the water secret I owe you at the end. Room temperature is all the warmth it needs, right around 70 degrees. The same temperature you keep the house. No heating pad, no plastic bag over it, none of that fussing. Step 6 is the waiting, and this is the sweet part. For the first week, it will look like nothing at all is happening. That is normal, honey, so do not poke at it. Somewhere in week 1 or week 2, you will spot little white nubs pushing out of that knuckle like tiny pearls. By week 3 or week 4, those nubs stretch into real white roots, curling around the bottom of the jar. Pothos is one of the most forgiving plants God ever made, and in my kitchen, the cuttings root through winter, summer, and everything in between. But this waiting stretch, weeks 2 and 3, is exactly where the water mistake takes most folks down, right when the roots are almost there. We are one step away from it now. Step 7 is potting up. When the roots on your cutting reach 2 to 3 inches long, it is time. That is 2 to 3 inches, about the length of your thumb and a bit more. Do not wait until you have a jar packed full of foot-long roots, because roots grown in water are soft and tender, and the longer they get, the harder the move to soil is on them. Take a small pot with drainage holes in the bottom. Fill it with regular bagged potting soil, nothing fancy. Poke a hole with your finger. Set the roots down and gently and firm the soil around the stem. Water it until water runs out the bottom of the pot. Then for the first 2 weeks, keep that soil lightly moist, not soggy, while those water roots learn to be soil roots. After that, treat it like any pothos, and let the top inch of soil dry out between drinks. Take your time with all of this. There is no rush in it anywhere. And now, honey, the part I promised you at the start. Why do so many cuttings rot in the jar around week 2? Even when the cut was right, the node was under and the leaves were stripped. It is the water itself. Water sitting still in a jar slowly runs out of air. Roots are alive and they breathe, and they pull the oxygen right out of that water day after day until there is hardly any left. And here is the second half of it. Warm, still, airless water is the favorite home of the very bacteria that turn a stem soft and brown, and they go to work right at the cut, the one open wound on the whole plant. That is why a jar in a hot afternoon window sours faster, because warm water loses its air quicker than cool water. So the fix is the simplest habit in this whole video. Every 3 to 4 days, pour the old water out, give the jar a quick rinse, and refill it with fresh room temperature water. That is every 3 to 4 days. Twice a week is plenty. Fresh water carries fresh air down to those roots, and it rinses the troublemakers away before they ever get a foothold. My grandma Hazel changed her jelly jars every Sunday and every Wednesday, regular as church, and I never once saw a cutting of hers go to mush. And that little habit right there is exactly how my whole book works. One small correction, done gently on the right day. Debra's 30-day bloom protocol takes that same slow, sure approach to every stubborn hydrangea, rose, peony, dahlia, and perennial in your yard. 30 days, 1 page at a time, built on the old pantry and shed methods Grandma used. It is $17, down from $47, and it costs less than 1 hanging basket at the garden center, while it turns the plants you already own into the show on the block. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So that is the whole method. 1 cut below the knuckle, leaves out of the water, a bright, gentle window, and fresh water every 3 to 4 days until those roots hit 2 to 3 inches. Did your mother or your grandmother have her own flower trick? Share it below, honey. Those little family ways are exactly the kind of thing worth keeping. I read every single one. Next time, I am going to show you the one fall cut that quietly snips off every single one of next summer's hydrangea blooms, and how to tell in 10 seconds whether your bush is a kind you should never cut at all. Now go on out there and get your hands in the dirt, honey. I'll see you in the garden.